Ashita, I'm sharing the link with you. Just hold
Yeah,
on. Hmm. एक बार अनाउंसमेंट में भी डाल देना कि वी आर लाइव. ठीक है.
sure, sure, sure.
अनाउंसमेंट में डोंट पुट द पिक्चर. ठीक है, मतलब क्रिएटिव वो खुद ब खुद पिक करेगा तो करेगा.
ठीक
ठीक
है,
है.
ओके, I'm sharing only link.
या.
Okay.
चलो, आई थिंक विल किक इट ऑफ. Okay, hello, welcome guys. Welcome to the 25th edition of the TBC Weekly Live. As usual, we are going to discuss about who got funded this week and the top 10 startup news stories of the week. With me is a great panel. We have got Shubhankar, we have got Vishal, we have got Akash. Kulmani is going to join in now. And let's just start with the news. थोड़ा जल्दी जल्दी करते हैं because I think we're already a little bit late. Um, cool. So let's just kick it off with today's news. So third week of May, who all got funded? So $320 million were deployed across 24 deals, 287 million in seven growth stage deals, and 33 million in 13 early stage deals, four undisclosed deals. Starting off with the growth stage deals, so there is Atlan, which is an AI startup. They raised $105 million in funding at a 750 million valuation from GIC, Singapore Sovereign Wealth Fund, along with co-investors Meritech Capital and early backers, who are the early backers of companies like Salesforce, Datadog, and Sequoia Capital as well. Nephroplus, a leading dialysis chain, they raised $102 million from Quadria Capital. There is Green Cell Mobility, which is in the shared electric mobility space. There is $3.07 billion from Sumitomo Mitsui Banking Corporation, which is SMBC Group. Then there is K12 Techno Services Private Limited, which is education related services. Venturi Partners has invested $27 million in the Sequoia-backed startup. Then there is Lending Card. They are in lending. They raised $10 million. And then there is Bharat Rohan, which is basically in the AI space. They raised $2.3 million. Moving on to the early stage deals. Superplum Agritech, they raised $15 million from Eric Rattaz and Hellman and Friedman, angel investors again. Cornext, Daily Cattle Farmers startup, they raised $2.2 million from Omnivore Ventures. Then there is Regrip, which is basically in the re-engineered tire space. They raised $2 million from Serious One Capital and Inflection Point Ventures and Let's Venture. Icon.in, which is an internet-based D2C luggage and travel accessories startup. They raised $1.2 million. DSG Consumer Partners. Then there is KNet, which is a SaaS startup. They raised $1 billion from Axelar Ventures and a few angel investors. Then there is Select Brands International Private Limited. They are again an online D2C platform offering a range of home products. They raised approximately $1 million from Agra Gwalior Pathways Private Limited and Aaron Holdings. And then there is EternZ, which is a curated vertical marketplace for jewelry, $1.15 million from K Capital with participation from Gemba Capital and IMA Ventures. Um, Moving on to the city-based deals, again, as usual, Bangalore rules the roost. Nine deals from Bangalore, five deals from Delhi, three deals from Bombay, two deals from Ahmedabad, one deal from Gandhinagar, and one deal from Indore. There were two from Hyderabad and one from Kolkata as well. That's the basic gist of the companies which raised funds. All the best and congratulations to all the founders. Moving on to the Ishita, don't post in all the groups. You just post in the announcements. Okay. So, the top 10 startup news stories of the week, starting off with Paytm. So again, Paytm basically the Vijay Shekhar Sharma has again taken lead of the key verticals as a few leadership changes have happened. Business heads of UPI, merchant banking, and consumer payments, Ajay Vikram Singh, Bipin Kaul, and Sandeepan Kashyap have quit, and Vijay Shekhar Sharma has basically taken over the reins, and he's basically looking at a few key leadership verticals. We have somebody from Paytm, I guess. I don't know if you're allowed or not. I don't know. Akash, can you throw a little bit of light on what's happening? क्या चल रहा है
To
अभी?
be honest, hmm, I mean, I would just say that, yeah, the focus is on business growth, right? Now, the focus is back on the business growth. Yeah, there are some exit, but I think most of these things are planned, right? And yeah, I mean, there are
Of
like
course.
there are guys who will, yeah, who will basically who will be able to take the business forward. So, whosoever was the best person to take the business for like forward based on that decisions from it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. नहीं यार, I think अगर मैं keyword, let's just go through the article once. I don't know. So basically, what has happened is there's a lot of stuff which has happened. There are a lot of changes which has happened, and I think Paytm is right now going through a complete restructure. From a vertical perspective, also, I think their focus has shifted a little bit. Um, so just to go through what has happened, March May, Praveen Sharma exited. Then there is an April, Sumit Mathur and Surinder Chawla. I think a lot of things have changed because of the whole Paytm banking kind of, the Paytm payments bank kind of moving out, and because of which a lot of structural changes have happened. ठीक I think इसके अलावा there is one more story of Paytm which we wanted to touch upon. I think last time हमने किया था इसको cover. But I think majority of the changes have happened because of the whole Paytm, the Paytm payments bank kind of moving out, right?
Yeah, there are. I mean, yeah, that it was dependent on this, and there are multiple things. So yeah, of course, I mean, Paytm is there for a long time, right? It has seen lot of ups and downs, right? And so they know how to
यार ये
basically
अप्स एंड डाउन्स
manage
भी नहीं,
everything.
ये तो मैं तो बोलूंगा पिवट ही है एक तरीके से.
Ah, okay. Well, yeah, most of the businesses are there. I think whatever businesses which has stopped for a while will again start back, and it will be BAU, like this business as usual.
So I basically wanted to touch upon the fact that there's a lot of focus which is going on ONDC now, is what I
Yeah.
understand, right? So
Right.
can you throw a
Correct.
little bit of light on what is happening in the ONDC space as well for Paytm?
Right,
I
so
think
Paytm wants to enter the space early because the space is like very small right now. So they want to put the money right there and build I mean the right right product like out there to help the customers get stuff as soon as possible. So that's the thing we are going the same route. I mean, so basically like Paytm the thinking is always be the first to do like big things. So that's the whole basic goal here as well.
Paytm तो मतलब I think is the auto space that they are getting into, right? Is what I understand.
No, I think there are multiple spaces. Not only that, I think e-commerce space is also something what they're planning to what they have entered. Like as far as I know, I may be wrong, but
Hmm.
as far as I know,
Hmm.
they are also into e-commerce space as well. So
Hmm. Hmm. Shubhankar, Vishal, any thoughts on this? I think, yeah, matlab, I have been following Paytm since it's right from the early days. Vijay has had a habit of pulling a rabbit out of the hat. He is one of those guys जो कि मेरे ख्याल से 1999 से लगे हुए हैं, and one of the most innovative and one of the most iconic leaders that we have had in the startup ecosystem. Um, of course, I think प्रॉब्लम क्या है ना कि इनको ना आराम करने का टाइम नहीं मिलता. आई लुक एट इट, इनको शांति नहीं है इनकी लाइफ में. बट आई थिंक दिस
I
इज
think
आल्सो अ
this
गुड.
happens. Yeah, this happens in fintech, right? If you see, right, lately after Paytm news, there is one news from IIFL, right? Their gold book has some issues, so they have stopped. Like they have asked them to stop basically expanding the gold loan, right? So that has
Yeah.
happened. There is one more fintech which also there is this Kotak Mahindra Bank who is banned to take new customers from digital, right? From digital like
Yeah,
digital
yeah, yeah,
space.
yeah.
So
Oh my
in
God, yes.
fintech, it's yeah. In fintech, right? The regulations are quite strict, and this happens to most of the businesses. Even if like Kotak Mahindra, there, Mahindra Bank is one of the biggest bank in India, right? It's part of the top five banks, but they also have. I mean, there are also things which happens, right? So it is quite common in fintech, and yeah, I mean, they have to learn and improve. Yeah.
Yeah,
Support
yeah, yeah.
Akash in that. I support Akash in that. I'm reminded of something my first boss told me a long time ago. He said, Vishal, nobody is indispensable. He was under pressure at that time. And I was worried about it. I got along well with him. He just said, told me one sentence, Vishal, nobody is indispensable. The point is, in companies which have momentum, established processes, senior level exits, while they do have an impact, it is not a critical impact. In an early stage startup or a mid stage startup, yes, that could be a crippling blow. But
I
when you
agree.
have momentum, when you have a established internal knowledge, when you have processes in operation, when you have skilled talent, that should not be that big a deal. It's just a media brouhaha that happens.
I
I mean,
agree.
look at Apple. What happened? It's still one of the most powerful companies in the world. Nothing has changed. Almost nothing has changed. They've come out with the Apple to iOS 12, 13, 14, and now 15. They're coming
Yeah,
out with 15. It doesn't make a
yeah.
difference. Even if the
16,
person is an
16.
innovator. Oh, yeah, sorry, 16. My bad. Even if that person is an innovator, there's always somebody else who can innovate. The
Yeah.
style and direction of the innovation will change, but the company will go on. I
No,
think this is just. I think it's interesting, fascinating, no doubt. But I mean, let's put this in perspective.
any
Sorry, Akash, I
absolutely.
didn't
Just
get.
to counter Vishal sir's point in just, I will say the only person indispensable for Paytm seems to be VSS.
Yeah.
As long as he's there, I don't think there's any tide Paytm cannot cross. But I think yeah, it's very interesting they're coming back to the e-commerce space with ONDC. You know,
यार
Paytm
मुझे
was like a semi-failed attempt, I would say. I mean, personally, I liked it, but they did not get a lot of traction with that. So very interesting
it
to
had
see
it
how.
has it had less to do with Paytm and more to do with ONDC in general. Because ONDC की तरफ ही traction का थोड़ा सा problem है. But I think as we discussed previously also, I think समय के साथ साथ ONDC भी pick up करेगा. But हाँ, sorry,
They are
Shubham.
also into food actually. Yeah, Paytm is also into food and
Oh
e-commerce
wow.
Yeah, food. I
on
think
on
food.
ONDC.
Food I've ordered already, so I think you can still order food in Paytm. I've
Yeah, yeah.
ordered.
With Akash,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know
yeah,
that,
yeah.
but I haven't seen a major play in it. So it would be fascinating if they could get into it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. ओके मूविंग ऑन टू दी नेक्स्ट स्टोरी आज काफी ज्यादा स्टोरीज हैं तो जल्दी जल्दी करने की कोशिश करते हैं अन अकेडमी लेज ऑफ अन अकेडमीज प्रेप लैडर रादर lays off 145 employees in sales strategy reject. People are aware of the developments, say that around teams such as marketing, product, tech, with the sales team being impacted the most, the startup is offering severance payment based on notice period of the employees. So basically, abhi again, there has been a reject. Companies have been laid off. The company basically is was a neat prep platform which laid off 145 employees last week. This is around 25% of the startup's entire workforce. So I think last time ही हम लोग discuss कर रहे थे इसके बारे में about an academy and I think आज हमें खबर मिल गई कि 100 150 लोग निकाले जा रहे हैं फ्रॉम दिस कंपनी एडटेक के बारे में आई थिंक हमने पहले भी एक बार डिस्कशन की है and I think it's just the fact that I think a lot of companies which used to be online have to focus a lot on its core and probably also on the offline businesses. So जितनी भी acquisitions हुई थी या तो फिर उनकी teams को merge कर दिया जा रहा है या फिर they are basically being laid off. So yeah, I mean, I think yeah, it was Gaurav Munjal had acquired Prep Lord Ladder in 2020 for $50 million. The acquisition was done to strengthen Academy's presence in the medical entrance examination category. However, Prep Ladder used to run independently. अभी मेरे ख्याल से since the last end of last year, we noticed that an academy has been getting more involved in the day-to-day operations of the startup. और अब ये basically Prep Ladder has recently changed the KRAs of the sales team, which has resulted in downsizing of the field. So this is also again a restructuring exercise here, the way I look at it. The company is also trying to basically get a little bit more structured, a little bit more streamlined, because of which I think this thing has happened. Any thoughts on this? We'll move a little bit
Sure.
faster, but yeah.
Just one thought. I often wonder why people scale up so fast and then have to sack. There's one thing I have always looked at as a team leader whenever I'm heading at whatever level, as an area manager, regional manager, whatever. Whenever I'm taking on someone, I always try to be careful as to what the future is. I mean, this is basically, I'm sorry, so many companies do it, but a better approach to hiring would have avoided this. It would have saved a lot of careers and it would have saved a lot of money. I know कहना आसान है, it's very easy to ऐसी dialogueबाजी करना बहुत आसान है. But I think companies in India need to put a little focus on the hiring process and training their managers in hiring and making the hiring decision properly, keeping in mind the external environment, the internal environment, and trying to plot the future a little bit better. It's hard, I know, but the effort to create this would be worth it. This is just
हाँ
my
मतलब
thought. In
इस
startups, I never advise hiring unless I have a clear idea of what I'm going to say. Otherwise, I say let's make do with the current resources. That's the best way forward.
दिक-
And
दिक्कत
I'm
क्या है
not
ना
so
कि
in my entire life. Never in my
हाँ
life have I been a successful person.
नहीं
So
नहीं दिक्कत क्या है ना इसमें कि सर ये ना दिस वाज नॉट एग्जैक्टली अ हायर दिस वाज एन एक्विजिशन व्हिच वेंट रॉन्ग तो कंपनी एक्वायर हुई कंपनी परफॉर्म नहीं कर रही है तो अभी रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग हो रही है तो द कंपनी
that's
हैडंट मतलब again it's the way the companies are run because of which this thing has happened that because an academy started getting more and more involved in the day-to-day operations, the way the company was structured, the way the sales team used to work, that has basically changed. So Prep Ladder has now asked the on-field sales team to host events at various medical colleges where the inside sales team has been told to generate revenue. पहले उनका स्ट्रक्चर ही अलग था पहले उनकी सेल्स स्ट्रैटेजी ही अलग थी अभी सेल्स टीम की स्ट्रक्चर ही चेंज हो गई है everything has changed so that's the little bit on this bit so let's just move on to the next one this is again I think ये हम बाद में cover करते हैं this is something which I want to talk about which is Flipkart has modified the rate card for sellers to boost clarity on settlement. So the new rate card introduced streamlined fee structures, enhanced settlement clarity, and improved shipping options targeted towards improving the seller experience. Effective May 18, will have reduced components to only fixed and commission from the earlier four fixed commission collection and shipping. So Flipkart has already enabled clear communication, reduce support, and ongoing engagement initiatives via webinars and Flipkart account managers to address any kind of sellers. So I think यहाँ पे भी I think the business strategies are changing slowly and people are basically Flipkart यार फ्लिपकार्ट को मुझे आज तक समझ में नहीं आया कि ये इनका धंधा बेसिकली टायर टू में होता है क्या because majority of the people that I know of, very few people actually do Flipkart. Majority of the people do Amazon. I mean, the ones that I know of. Again, this might be an anecdotal evidence, but what is your thought, Vishal Shavankar?
we are
Uh,
strong in certain segments where Amazon isn't. Just like grocery segment is one area that they are strong.
Flipkart.
In
Ah,
some appliances segment, watches etc., Flipkart is much stronger. But one thing I'd like to draw your attention to, particularly with reference to this article, I noticed they are silent on the total impact on the final charges. Have they gone up? Have they gone down? Or have they remained the same? So that's one interesting thing I just looked at it. But otherwise, this is all good. I think Shubhankar has a point to make. Over to you, Shubhankar.
yeah, so I sell on Flipkart. I'm a seller on Flipkart. So this was
so
more
you're a
like a
seller
feature
on
change.
Flipkart.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
very nice.
this was more like a feature change which went live, I think about a month or so back. Uh, they have redone the rate card, so they have a rate card within the cellular portal where you can see basically on every sale if you sell a product at a certain amount of price, what will be the payout to your bank account? And they've made it very detailed. I think it's a bit of an information overload, to be really honest with you. But yes, it's become more transparent. Like for example, they show you the TDS and TCS, which will
अच्छा.
be cut on the transaction upfront. So that's a welcome change. They also show you a breakup in terms of the local, national, and zonal orders. So because each of those subheads has a different shipping, so they show you the breakup, like 17% orders are zonal, 30% are national, so on and so forth. So they show you a breakup and then they give you a net estimate payout, which is like a weighted average thing. So yeah, it's nice. But coming back to your previous question, I think yeah, we did a analysis, cursory analysis based on our sales, and we figured out using the pin code data that yes, Flipkart is predominantly more in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and also like vis-a-vis Amazon and Mitra, uh, the cheaper products tend to do better on Flipkart rather than the high ticket value
Hmm.
items. So yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Cool. Moving on to ये भी मेरे ख्याल से फ्लिपकार्ट का न्यूज़ है. Flipkart mulling reverse flip to India with IPO on the horizon. So Flipkart is basically doing a home entry like a lot of other companies. They are also basically coming back. The company was basically domiciled in Singapore. Now they are shifting back to India. Now, this reverse flip is motivated by a desire for profitability and a potential future IPO on the Indian Stock Exchange. A lot of companies are actually coming back. I don't know whether it is because of the government pressure or because this is not a one-off case. A lot of companies are coming back on this. So policy again, potential homecoming, discussions, challenges, trends. Yeah, Flipkart joins a growing trend of Indian startups seeking to reverse their earlier decision to establish holding companies in Singapore. So I have no idea why this is happening, but yeah, this is something which is happening.
One
Uh,
question here to both of you,
yeah.
to Shubham and to Sohail. Would a factor of the Indian government's policies be important here? Because there has for some time now been an emphasis both. I mean, it was the issue with the Congress as well and with the BJP as well. There's no politics so involved here. It's just an
Mm.
economic policy that we have of encouraging India-based companies uh, to give them an advantage. Yes,
हाँ
the
मतलब
funding ecosystem has matured, but I think the policy backdrop cannot be ignored. So if
mm,
that is so, then kudos to the policies of the Indian government. I would like you to know more about this, though. What do you say, Shumankar, Sohail?
I think you're right. I think it might be policy change. I think also it closely follows PhonePe. I think PhonePe just did the reverse flip. I think they just completed a few weeks back, if I'm not wrong. So
mm,
then mulling over is interesting. They would have gone with the entire process for PhonePe, and now they might continue it with the larger brother or sister in Flipkart. And yeah, I think just the fact that I think they're getting interesting multiples on the Indian market. So yeah, I think fully valid. I think, and also yeah, I definitely can be some government angle. I'm not really sure of that, but yeah, with PhonePe after the PhonePe reverse flip, I think this was expected.
mm. A lot of companies are actually coming back. सो मेरे ख्याल से इंडिया को तो देखो टैक्स का ही वो है पूरा का पूरा गेम द रीजन व्हाई these people were domiciled in Singapore was because of tax benefits and I assume that there has that now that they are coming back it's primarily देखो दो चीजें ही हो सकती है या तो फिर इनको यहाँ पे टैक्स बेनिफिट के बारे में द कंपनी और द रेगुलेटर्स have basically said कि the benefits that they were getting will probably be more if they come back to India, or there has been a policy or a pressure from the government कि भाई यहाँ पे आप कमा रहे हो और वहां पे आप दे रहे हो तो सारा का सारा आप यहीं पे दो. So that is my take, but again, and I'm saying this purely because this is not the one-off case. There's a lot of cases which are happening. So I think somebody from finance, अगर आकाश रहता तो आकाश probably would have thrown a little bit more light on it. आकाश just left. But basically मुझे वही लगता है कि यार दोनों चीजें ही हैं. there must have been some kind of a policy restructuring which must have happened because of which these companies are coming to. Otherwise, there is no point. कोई इसमें यही नहीं है कि अगर अगर वहां पे टैक्स बेनिफिट उनको मिल रहा है, दे आर मेकिंग अ, बिकॉज यहाँ पे 1% इज ऑल्सो लॉट ऑफ मनी, राइट, इन द काइंड ऑफ वॉल्यूम्स दैट दीस पीपल आर प्लेइंग. So that's my take on this, yeah. Okay. Moving on to the next one. Yeah, interesting. So homegrown Gen AI chatbot Hanuman now has gone live in 98 languages. So Hanuman was launched by 3AI Holdings Private Limited and SML India in India. It's a multilingual Gen AI platform which has 98 global languages, including 12 Indian languages, to build a generative AI ecosystem in India by leveraging the country's diverse linguistic and cultural heritage. Basically, again, वो तो ठीक है, क्या है बेसिकली थोड़ा सा देख लेते हैं इसके बारे में. सारी लैंग्वेजेस ही हैं इसमें. It is basically partnered with NASSCOM. The company plans to support several initiatives such as AI startups engaging with 3,000 colleges, fostering fintech innovation. The company also partnered with Government of Telangana and the Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievances to provide seamless transitions between English and Telugu. Hanuman represents in US. So again, I think one of the companies, if you remember, Vishal, that we were evaluating during the Shark Tank times. Remember where uh, they were translating
Yeah,
from
I remember.
English to other languages by just scanning different documents. I think this is
Yeah,
again one of those use cases where English, where there will be translations happening across, and there are multiple applications to something like this. And this is again something which is going to be a very commonplace feature the way I look at it in the next 2 or 3 years as AI becomes more mainstream. People are
agree.
going to, yeah, go on. Sure.
But how will these guys make money? I mean, I am fascinated. This is my field basically, as you are probably well aware. But I am fascinated by it, and I'm feeling a little not more than a little proud that an Indian company is doing such core level work in AI. That's great because that's one of the weaknesses of our AI ecosystem. We are more into applications than in the core level. But how will they make money? I can't see the monetization happening here all too soon. If they have deep pockets and if they can withstand a timeline of 2 to 5 years, I don't see any issues because I can myself think of several use cases. So I mean, the experts will think of many more. But the point is, if they can survive, fine. If they cannot, how will they make money in the short to medium term? I don't see that happening. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see that happening.
No, so basically
Because
these companies
you
are
are
made for
translating. It's
acquisitions.
daily task. It's quite
Mm,
literally a daily task for me. I have to translate between multiple languages. We being in marketing and marketing to an entire country which has more languages than I care to count. I have to do that. It's a basic job for me. My work is not being hampered as on date.
yeah. So,
So
so these kind of companies are made for acquisitions and not technically revenue, because this is again currently what these people have made will become a feature. This will never be an app, right? So they are basically just leveraging. Right now, they have created something. They're creating a lot of PR around it, and eventually they will get acquired by some or the other company. इसका रेवेन्यू का कोई सीन है नहीं सर. ये लोग अभी कॉलेजेस में कर रहे हैं. दे आर डूइंग अ लॉट ऑफ एजुकेशन. दे आर शोइंग ऑफ अ लॉट ऑफ यूज केसेस. But it's not gonna do much, very frankly. मतलब in terms of revenue, if you talk about, eventually they will get acquired. That's my take on this. Because again, this is the way I look at it. It's a feature. It's a feature for in 2025, 2026. This will just be a feature which will be available in every phone, in every app, even on YouTube. If you are watching something in a different language, you'll have an option of changing it and listening it in a different language. So this is just a feature. This is not even a tool which can make money. What's your take on this, Shubhankar?
Uh, just seems very interesting to me, right? They're doing this translation into multiple languages. Again, Vishal sir very really said that, he's very proud that doing ground level work in AI. That is quite interesting. But it's still very circumspect. Na? Matlab we remember the whole hype cycle that happened with the Claude AI engineer, which was supposed to give everybody the pink slip. But 10 days later, nobody was talking about it. So
Yeah.
I think these press releases can be quite decideful in that way. Unless and until everybody gets to do an unbiased review of the product, it's very difficult to say.
नहीं नहीं agreed. But as I said कि ये तो again as I said this is a press release यार. ये ज्यादा कुछ है नहीं. SML India in partnership with AI Holdings. These are NASCOM and all of these departmental or government partnerships do not lead to revenue at all. ये वैसे भी colleges और schools में education की बात कर रहे हैं because of which I think this is primarily focused on ये मतलब बेचने का गेम है यार. This is just an acquisition tactic. Not much to talk about here. Okay, moving on to the next one. Zeta, ये भी interesting है. So the Zeta rolls out UPI integrated credit as a service product for banks, and the product is based on NPCI's credit line on UPI scheme. बहुत सारी कंपनीज ये कर रही है, which uses the network to speed up credit issuance in India. Zeta expects transaction volumes on this scheme to exceed 1 trillion by 2030. So a lot of money to be made. A lot of companies are already doing digital credit as a service on UPI. The product relies on the credit lines within the UPI scheme introduced by Reserve Bank of India in September. A few of my friends have also started companies which got funded by Sequoia, which basically are working on a similar credit on UPI basis based service. Zeta, as you people would know, is a part of the Media.net home of Bhavin Turakia, of the Turakia brothers, and they are basically again this scheme is going to surpass 1 trillion by 2030 because it solves a lot of problem of working capital, that too with the UPI based accounts, right? So this initiative aims to lower the expenses associated with financial services and enable users to access pre-approved credit via the UPI linked accounts. Lot of great these things are gonna happen via this. Digital credit as a service provides a complete service and tech stack, which that will enable banks to manage everything from originations to collections digitally. You as a seller, Shubhankar, does this kind of service actually help? कुछ फर्क
So
पड़ेगा क्रेडिट और यूपीआई वाले जोन में?
I think I initially had an idea which I wanted to explore. I unfortunately didn't. But the thing is the demand for credit in India is massive, right? We have so many
Yeah, of
people
course.
with so much ambition and just a dearth of access to capital. So the demand for credit in India is massive. And of course, with us doing more digital, I think this just makes more and more sense. So I think this will see massive adoption anyway because the demand for credit is there, and if it just helps bank issue, smaller loans with basically no or little paperwork, just makes the job easier for everybody. So I think it's a win-win-win for everybody.
Mm.
Shubhankar, it would be great if you could provide some context as to how this works, because I have so many questions. Suhail would not be able to take a single news apart from
मेरे
this
को
if I start. So
मेरे
can
को
you put
पता ही
some
नहीं
context
यार
on this?
इसमें.
That's what I
हम्म,
knew. I don't know anything about this.
हम्म.
I'm interested.
Yeah, so I think
ईएमआई लोन्स, मर्चेंट लोन्स, एग्रीकल्चरल लोन्स, लोन्स ही लोन्स. बताओ सर.
as far as I know, I can only talk about the credit line feature. That's
Yeah.
basically they give you access to an account which has the money that is pre-sanctioned or pre-approved by the bank, right? And it's basically in UPI it will show up basically as a savings account with that amount of money in there. As with the credit line, you don't pay any interest until you use up any money. So it's just for practical purposes, you can think of it as a bank which has some money, and the moment you start borrowing money from there, they will charge you start charging the interest on the amount of money that you borrowed. In India, with credit cycles and everything, this is a massive space because you have so many companies that will need money just to make the next cycle of let's say salaries or a vendor to a some payment to a vendor or something like that, just to bridge tides between a low cycle or when they do a payment from somebody they are supplying to and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
it's very interesting. I wanted to, uh, as I said, I wanted to investigate the space more, but this was a couple of years back, and the whole lending infrastructure wasn't there on UPI. But now that they've given the green check and companies are actually building on it, I think it's fantastic. It's absolutely a great place to be.
A lot of people are going to make a lot of money with this. But I am still waiting when the government wants to start making money. That's where that's where a lot of then we'll realize कि भाई इतना हैबिट जो लगवाया है इन लोगों ने यूपीआई का अभी तो लोन भी देना चालू कर दिया उसके बाद क्या होएगा इसका currently the banks are losing money on UPI not making a lot of money out of this uh,
But technically,
चल
the banks are incentivized by the finance ministry.
yeah
So technically, they're not supposed to lose any money because the finance ministry would reimburse the cost. And I think
पर वो हो नहीं रहा है ना
they do release the money. I don't know why are
hmm.
you saying it, but yeah, maybe there's some nuance which I don't know.
Hmm. Okay, moving on to the next one. ये तो हमने बात किया ओएनडीसी के बारे में. I think Paytm is planning to offer auto rickshaw. ये तो this is something which I've done. So we'll move on to the next one. भाविश अग्रवाल versus LinkedIn. ये बहुत ही अजीब सी चीज हुई है. Suddenly Bhavish out of nowhere comes out on Twitter and he basically says that sorry. So Bhavish Agarwal on Twitter out of nowhere has come out and said that Ola will stop using Azure and migrate completely to Krutrim AI. And this is primarily because they are saying ki because we are, I think, let me just try and pull out their the tweet. Bhavesh Pira. Yep. So basically, on LinkedIn, Microsoft and their wokeness as an institution, as an Indian institution, Ola is for genuine actions on diversity. We run one of the largest women-only automotive platforms. Not one out of 10. Let me just open this up. Yeah. बहुत लंबी चौड़ी कहानी लिखी है इन लोगों ने पूरी की पूरी. But point ये है कि since LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft, and Ola is a big customer of Azure, we have decided to move our entire workload out of Azure to our own Proceeding Cloud within the next week. इनका कुछ तो Microsoft ने कुछ कहा था about some women safety or women this thing. Now they are basically saying कि yeah because of this we are now going. So एक बार थोड़ा सा देख लेते हैं. Not one out of 10 or a small section but a whole plant almost 5,000 women now and will grow to tens of thousands coming years. And regarding gender inclusivity, we don't need lectures from Western companies on how to be inclusive. Our culture didn't need pronouns to be inclusive for thousands of years. On a personal note, I had visited Ayodhya last year and learned about how transgenders. What the hell has he done? So,
I
as
think
a
I
found,
think there I think there are two ways which has happened. I think Bhavesh did this entire tirade. Basically, he searched who's Bhavesh Agarwal or something, and the
yeah.
answer that he got had the used the pronouns they for him. So using which he got very offended, which is paradoxical in a way because he's saying that we shouldn't be
ये
using
हुआ
these
क्या था?
pronouns.
What happened? What happened? Do you have any idea?
I think I think he asked Bing or something about what who is Bhavesh Agarwal, and
Ah,
it replied using the pronoun they. He got really infuriated with it. He put up a LinkedIn post saying, "Keep it don't need this pronoun
so
correctness."
basically LinkedIn blocked one of his posts.
Yeah, so then he made a LinkedIn post on that, and LinkedIn took down that post, and then it just accelerated from there. But the way I
Ah,
see it, it's either one of two things. They announced tutoring crowd a few days before the post went up.
of
So
course,
either
of
this
course.
was some PR masterstroke by these guys where they said, we will do this, then they will do this, and then we will do this. Or or it's just Bhavish being Bhavish and overreacting,
भावेश बीइंग भावेश वही है, भावेश बीइंग भावेश ही है ये पूरा का पूरा।
or
बेसिकली भावेश कृत्रिम क्लाउड का पीआर कर किया है इसने बहुत अच्छी तरीके से। दे हैव डन अ गुड जॉब of doing a great PR around Kruthrim. So Kruthrim Cloud will be offering GPS service on its AI government and allowing enterprises and developers to train and fine tune. I don't know how many takers there will be because कोई clarity नहीं है कितने साल टिकेगा ये Kruthrim. Ola has a
I
very
think
Ola has a
I
history
think
of fail fast, fail quick ना। हाँ बोलो बोलो।
I think also the entire thing is a bit hypocritical, and I want to point it out, right? So the entire post about not being sensitive to pronouns and why it is wrong and everything. It is typically what would be assumed from a woke person who would talk so much about pronouns. So Bhavesh being anti-woke and then talking about pronouns is a bit on the nose. And then, just chastising LinkedIn for not taking, or Microsoft for not taking the criticism seriously. I think that's a very strong point being made by a company which is suing people left, right, and center for criticizing them. So a lot of it is on the nose, and yeah, I don't. Of course, this is how I also got to know about the Kruthrim as a cloud now, and they are giving us the cloud services. But it's a bit on the nose, to be honest.
या so ये तो कुछ अलग ही लेवल पे चल रही है चीजें यार। पीआर का मतलब भावेश डज अ गुड जॉब व्हेन इट कम्स टू पीआर फॉर श्योर। बट ठीक है, मूविंग ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट वन। आई थिंक ये कौन सा वाला है? हाँ यार, मैप माई इंडिया के बारे में बात करते हैं। So Swiggy recently restarted its daily home cooked meal deliveries in Bangalore. This is again just for the Bangalore crowd. मैं थोड़ा जल्दी जल्दी जो छोटे वाले न्यूज है उनको कवर कर लेते हैं, एक दो बड़े वाले कर लेंगे। So again, uh, Swiggy Daily was there back in 2019, where they used to give home style food service daily. It's like a subscription service to your home. Last year, Zomato also launched Zomato every day to enter the affordable home style meal delivery segment. But now Swiggy has restarted that. Map My India is one of the stories that I'll cover. This is also one of the stories. Matrimony.com. So Bharat Matrimony and the Matrimony group, they basically have crossed 1 million mark of in subscriptions. They had their revenue has gone up, and a lot of great stuff is happening in the matrimony space. अच्छा ये दो तीन कहानियां बाकी हैं, तो जल्दी जल्दी कर लेते हैं दोनों कहानियां। These are the two stories which are pending. So Map My India, मेरे को अभी तक समझ में नहीं आता Map My India पैसा कैसे बनाता है, क्योंकि ideally this company should have been dead a long time. But having said that, Map My India has reported a 35% surge in its consolidated profit to 38.2 CR in March, up from 28.3 CR a year ago. So the company consolidated operating revenue also witnessed a 47% increase to 100.76.9 CR. ये पैसे बनाती कहाँ से है, मेरे को ये समझना है। So on an overall revenue growth, based with consumer tech and enterprise digital transformation revenue up 49%. On the product side, our map and data, अच्छा ये data से पैसा बनाता है, they make money. So there are two things. One is consumer tech and enterprise digital transformation. Second is products जो है इनके, which is map and data, that basically grew 23%. And IoT revenue also grew to 44 from 40 to 42%. The year gone by continued to show growth to our core B2B and B2B2C business across existing markets, automotive, corporate, government, and mobility. We have been investing in building our capabilities and solutions to expand internationally as well as in the drone segment. Acha. How many of you actually heard, matlab, have used a Map My India service? मेरे ख्याल से जो गाड़ियों में होता है हुआ करता था, आई डोंट नो, अभी तो मेरे ख्याल से गूगल ऑटो kind of rules the rules, but still a lot of the auto brands have the Map My India map, nahi?
India does have quite a few enterprise level customers. So even if we have used their services, we would not be knowing about it because that will be at the back end.
Mm.
So it has plenty of customers, and it stands to reason because it's an Indian company. It stands to reason that their mapping would, at least at the initial levels, would be better than Google's. Although Google has caught up since then quite a lot, but I can see how they're making money. It's it's one of those. It's like the antithesis to Intel Insight. We only know there's Intel Insight because of Intel tells us and screams it out from every hoarding and every ad. Intel
Mm.
Insight. See, there is Intel Insight this chip. Mahatma India, even if we are using the services, we wouldn't know about it. So it's a fascinating news to read. Thanks for bringing this up.
Mm. Interesting. MapMyIndia print solutions for advertisers. Oh my God. MapMyIndia travel guides. MapMyIndia travel guides भी है. MapMyIndia web solutions for advertisers. ये तो यार solutions अलग ही level पे दे रहा है ये. What a map company. पुराना पुराना information है. Competition. Ah, I think they basically talk about being very India centric, and one of the best directories, or one of the most rich data points. And I think they are a little bit more cheaper than Google API also. I think वहाँ पे भी ये लोग ये करते हैं, especially the companies which require a little bit more data rather than just the Google Maps or roads data. They basically get it. So administrative hierarchy, address data layers down to house number level in cities and every village in rural areas. 99.99% coverage of road and rail transportation network. Points of interest to landmarks across 300 plus categories. So a lot of great stuff, man. All the very best. I had not thought about them for a long period of time. Okay. Now moving on to matrimony. Bharat matrimony and the family. इनके पास तो सारे matrimonies हैं. भारत मैट्रिमोनी से लेकर के तमिल मैट्रिमोनी, बंगाली मैट्रिमोनी, मराठी मैट्रिमोनी, there are all the matrimonies which are there. They basically again they are also profitable. 12 cr 11.7 cr profit. um Interestingly, matrimony's revenue from marriage services declined 50% year on year to 1.5 cr, but the company's operating revenue increased 4.4 cr. Revenue from matchmaking rose 5.5 cr. सो मेरे ख्याल से इनकी मैरिज सर्विसेज कम कर रही हैं. Consolidated profit, operating revenue, outcome of focus on segmentation and customer centric measures. Company also launched an exclusive dating app for Indian Americans called Mera Love in 2024. Besides, it's launched elite matrimony kiosks across three Indian city airports: Chennai, Bangalore, and Delhi. What's the logic of launching of starting kiosks in airports? इसका क्या logic है, Vishal? Is it just for branding?
Yeah, just for branding and to convince people who aren't too convinced by their digital campaigns or aren't reachable or they haven't targeted. It's a good ploy. It's something different. It's something that you would notice. It's not every day you come across a matrimony portal doing something like a kiosk. So definitely the
Hmm.
recall value would be very high. So on the marketing scale, I would put it as an awareness drive because one does not build brand knowledge or brand salience through kiosks. So I guess it's an awareness drive, and I'm quite fascinated by it. It's something out of the box. And given our
Hmm.
population and the burgeoning urban population, matrimony doesn't really have a problem in the future growth possibilities. Their decreasing marriage revenue and increasing matchmaking revenue also makes sense given that we are just coming out of Corona. So there's a lot that's going on in the market. So I mean, although the numbers did surprise me that it got gone so big, but I suppose I shouldn't be surprised because now that we have a mobile in practically every hand and, and almost 80% of the urban population should be covered through online services, so I shouldn't have been that surprised.
Hmm.
In fact, I
Interesting,
certainly
yeah.
shouldn't be that because I am a SaaS guy. So
So revenue
it's good.
from matchmaking services increased 5.5% to 117.7 CR. Revenue from marriage services declined 47% to 1.5 CR. And overall paid subscriptions crossed 1 million in this quarter.
See, because there
So,
is a change in the cultural backdrop that's happening. Huh? Earlier, how in our times, at least in my time, I don't know about you too, uh, marriages were settled through social connects and contacts.
mm,
That was how the majority of the matchmaking happened. We had large families, we had a large and close knit group of cousins, and so on and so forth.
mm,
Now, what is happening with the rise of the unitary family and the breakdown of, I would not say breakdown, but we are going out of that system, at least in the urban landscape, because people simply don't have time. The old bonds that held strong are beginning to change. Although I will not say weaken because they are not weakening, but it's becoming very difficult for for a variety of reasons. So, given the changing cultural backdrop, it only makes sense that something like matrimony would come on to facilitate it. That said,
mm,
this is a culture. I need to be very specific. Doesn't mean that the culture is changing. What is only happening is they are facilitators. At the end of the day, marriages, I'm guessing, would also be fixed, but people would be doing their own cross-checking and they will be using their cultural context to figure out, अरे उसका लड़का है कैसा जरा पता तो करें. But this is something that facilitates a matchup because now people aren't in that close touch, so it's becoming difficult. So they are plugging a gap that was there earlier through the cultural setting in which everyone was living close by. Now somebody is living in Mumbai, other person is sitting in Pune, the third person is sitting in Bangalore. You don't have that close vicinity anymore. So they are just filling a gap that was earlier filled by the village or the city square we would sit in. So it's just a sign
mm.
of the changing times of how we are developing our own solutions, which are both matching with our culture as well as using technology. Because I know in my own case, in my own family and friends, cross checking still happens. The cultural network is still used despite the matchmaking that happens. That's standard in India, and that's not going to change. So they are filling a nice gap. So as I said, if they play their cards right, they should only grow from here on. I don't see any
Yeah,
challenges in the land
yeah,
horizon for them unless they
absolutely. This is an evergreen field, यार. Marriage तो इंडिया में चलेगा ही चलेगा. Okay. So I think that brings us to the end of all the news stories, and we are right on time. मुझे 9:30 खत्म करना था, इसलिए मैंने जल्दी जल्दी खत्म किया. And we had a lot of stories. Thanks to Ishita, who she compiled, I think कुछ 11, 12 stories में जल्दी 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 निकला. Hopefully next time we'll do a little bit more lesser. So just a small announcement. So I think in September we are doing the Great Indian Startup Summit. In case anybody of you want to partner up, and I think the early registrations are open. So if you're planning to fly down to Bangalore or you are already there in Bangalore, please register. You people will get early bird discount as well. Plus there is the whole partnership angle as well. So please reach out to me. I'm either on LinkedIn or DM me on WhatsApp if you're already a part of the community. And with that, I think we that brings us to the end of this week's news of the week. And with that, we'll see you guys next.